What's up, YouTube family? Welcome to my channel, and for those who've been here before, welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk about something that artists tend to lose sight of when they are on their journey to become better draftsmen or better artists as a whole, like especially in the skill building stage. Right now, this applies to all different types of artistic journeys, right? So this doesn't just apply to drawing, painting, visual arts itself. It applies to music as well, or just other different um, artistic explorations. All right, so with that, so what I want to talk about today is you have to remember that your artistic journey is a personal journey, right? And when we speak about like that journey, you are creating your own visual language, or if it's music, your own sound language. I guess that's what it would be called in music, right? But you're developing your own personal style, your own personal language in whatever style of art that you are in. So, as far as us as, visual artists, we're developing our own visual language, right? So, that is something that you have to keep sight of when you are skill building, right? Because one of the traps that we tend to fall into um, is when we get into that skill building stage, right? You have like all these different avenues that you can take as far as like drawing methods, um, following like the Loomis drawing method or the Rally, studying Bridgman, whatever methods you're choosing. Um, it's great to learn those methods, but you do not you do not want to lose sight of developing your own personal visual language, right? You're just gonna run into people saying, hey, this method is better, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. But really in art, it's really no right or wrong way to do things, right? And that's one of the great things about any type of art, right? It's a personal journey, right? So there's no right or wrong way to do things, and it's a million different ways that you can do the same things, right? So it's all about your own personal approach. So when you're skill building and you're learning these different drawing methodologies, you want to always keep that in mind, and you're doing this skill building in order to better express your own and develop your own personal visual language, right? So when you're studying a new method, learning a new way of drawing, a new technique, you always want to be thinking about how can I use this and how can I apply this to my own visual language, right? To evolve it even more, to make it even more unique. Because I mean, that's one thing that we also have to think about as being as artists, right? You want to have a uniqueness about it, right? You don't want to get caught up in doing the same thing as everybody else, right? And I think that especially reigns true in the world like where we're going today, especially when you think about AI art and it's being able to copy artists like their work and stuff. Um, the more diverse your style is and the more unique it is, the harder it would be even for AI to replicate. And if it is that unique, you you can pretty much know that it is a replication. It has been stolen, right? But like if you only study and develop and become like say a carbon copy say another artist, or join the same style as most people out there, um it's easier for it to your style to be taken by these AI learning machines, right? So the more uniqueness, the more diversity you have in your art, like you taking all these skills, and you're using them just to like you taking bits and pieces of like say different methodologies, different ways of thinking about art, even developing your developing your own by studying artists. Because one big thing that like I say a lot of artists do in their style developing is studying artists that they like, and uh kind of breaking down their style, right? Like so it says you have an artist you like. I use say Frank Frazetta for example, right? Like so you take Frank Frazetta's work, you look at it, you do say master studies of his work, and uh, you start to you know break down his work, try to reverse engineer it, and try to see how he was thinking when he was drawing that or painting that, right? Now it's not really important that you are spot on of what he was thinking, right? Because you truly will not know what he was thinking, right? Unless you get to talk to him and he tells you, right? But Frank is no longer with us, so there's no way of actually knowing what he was thinking doing his drawings unless you got video of him, saying that, right? So, but one important thing, in which is the important thing that you're doing when you do this, is it's not that important that you know what they was actually thinking when they was drawing or painting or developing that piece. It's what can you extract from it from your own view, right? Because I could look at, like say me and you can be looking at the same piece of work, and we both can get two totally different things from that one piece of work, right? You may see these two or three things, and I may see two or three other things, that stand out to me, right? And so it's not so important on you knowing what they was thinking. It's just, okay, how do I view this? How can I, take what I know and break this down and extract something from it to figure out how to do this myself, right? Now you may be thinking something totally different from what they was thinking, but you find a way to do it based on you looking at them, right? Even though you didn't do it the same way they did it, you didn't have the same thought process that they had when they did it, but you figured out a way like that you understand. And that is one of the reasons why this is such a personal journey, because it's all about your own understanding, right? I mean, the method really doesn't matter. The methods are really good to, expose you to, some of the best practices or some of the more known practices. I wouldn't want to say best practices, because the best practice is actually the one that works for you personally, right? Because, you can have two different methods. I wouldn't say one method is superior to the other. The one that's superior is the one that you understand the best, right? And you might end up with a Franken method where you say you like something from this method better, and then something from another method better, and you just start to mix and match things to come up with your own personal method, right? But really, the best thing that you can do is what you understand, what you can understand best, what you can grasp best. It's kind of like in fitness, the fitness realm. People say the best exercise is what you can continue to do, what you can do constantly, right? Like you have certain exercises that may burn more calories or build more muscles, right? Like, I mean, but if you can't consistently do those things, then they're not as effective um, as a workout that you could do all the time, right? That you can motivate yourself to do all the time. That's why, like, some people say, like, to play sports, like play basketball, say on their lunch break or something like that, right? Like, it's a sport where it's fun to do. Um, if you like basketball, it's fun to do, and it works out. It gives you like a good workout. You're running around, you're getting cardio, you getting some strength training doing it because as you playing against people, you pushing and pulling and trying to do all the stuff that that sport requires. Or if you enjoy being in the water, swimming would be a good one. Where if you like to swim, um, that could be a really great workout for you, right? But if you don't like to swim, you don't like to be in the water, that'll be the worst workout for you to do, right? Um, so the same thing when it comes to our art. What can you understand best, and what can you get yourself to do more of? So it is a personal journey. Just remember that. Always remember that you can allow your visual language to be influenced by other things, but you get to pick and choose what is influenced by, right? So you get to pick and choose what is influenced by. As a personal journey. Try not to let anybody tell you you absolutely have to do it this way. Um, I think what they should say is, hey, it would be a good idea for you to maybe learn this way of doing things, but it's not a absolute necessity, right? So you have to come at things like that. Like, it's not an absolute necessity for you to maybe learn the rally method, but it could make things easier for you and open up a new understanding for you that can help develop your own personal visual language further. But that's all I have for you guys today. I will catch you on the next one. As always, I'm glad to be in your service, and peace.